Every week, Indian news channels find something new to outrage about. This week, it's a terrible joke made by Ranveer Allahabadia, who is better known as Beer Biceps. Sure, the joke was vulgar, but the actual joke is on all of us. When news channels waste hours discussing this, when the National Commission for Women summon them, and when the police decide to go through the archives of a comedy show. Instead, here's something real that the channels, NCW and the police can focus on and demand for cases to be filed.
क्या आपकी मेहनत की कमाई का पैसा घुसपैठियों को दिया जाएगा?
In 2024, India witnessed a 74.4% increase in hate speech incidents. 74.4%. And leading this from the front were leaders from the ruling party.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार बनेगी तो एक गैर संवैधानिक मुस्लिम रिजर्वेशन को हम समाप्त कर देंगे.
Prime Minister Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah, and Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Adityanath. India Hate Lab, a Washington-based research group that put this report together, has exposed something even more unsettling. Hate speech in India is strategic, deliberate, and politically sanctioned. Let's dive deeper. The News Minute is turning 11 and we are kicking off a birthday week. We've all complained about the terrible state of news, right? But as journalists, we decided to do something about it, and that's how the News Minute was born. We did journalism that truly spoke for the people, ensuring that the unheard voices finally got the attention they deserved. We never shied away from holding those in power accountable, whether they're politicians, bureaucrats, or even corporate giants. Now, it's your turn. So stop complaining and take action. Journalism needs people who don't just complain but actually support it. So make sure you pick up a News Laundry and News Minute subscription right away. You can pause this video and click on the QR code on your screen. Or you can even click on the link in the description below, where you can buy our annual plan, and as part of our special birthday offer, you get to gift one subscription to someone who really cares about real news. But that's not all. Better journalism doesn't happen by accident. It happens when people like you invest in it. So you can also contribute to our reporting fund. The link, of course, is in the description below. And as I promised you last week, I will be reading out emails from subscribers and viewers at the end of the show. Now back to the issue at hand. Let's talk numbers for a moment. According to the IHL report called Social Media and Hate Speech in India, there were 1,165 verified hate speech events in 2024 alone. In 2023, this number was 668, which means that the number of hate speech has doubled in just 1 year. May 2024 saw the biggest spike in such speeches. And I'm sure you remember what happened in May, right? The Lok Sabha elections. So it's no coincidence that hate speech saw the biggest spike then. There were 269 incidents in just 1 month. So think about it. Elections means more hate speech from our politicians, especially from those from the ruling party. Now, who's behind all this and why is it happening? Stick with me, we'll break it all down in just a bit. Let's first look at where these incidents happened, and it immediately paints a pretty clear picture. Uttar Pradesh topped the list with 242 hate speech events, followed closely by Maharashtra with 210. Now, what's interesting? These states are strongholds of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and Maharashtra also saw assembly elections in 2024. The report said that 79.9% of all the recorded hate speech events, that's 931 incidents, happened in states or union territories that are ruled by the BJP. In fact, senior BJP leaders like Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah, and Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Adityanath were some of the most prominent figures pushing the rhetoric of hate. For example, Modi during a rally in Rajasthan referred to Muslims as infiltrators and those with more children.
और पहले जब उनकी सरकार थी उन्होंने कहा था कि देश की संपत्ति पर पहला अधिकार मुसलमानों का है. इसका मतलब ये संपत्ति इकट्ठी करके किसको बांटेंगे? जिनके ज्यादा बच्चे हैं उनको बांटेंगे।
Of course, he went on to deny this in an interview, but the video is there for all to see.
क्या आपकी मेहनत की कमाई का पैसा घुसपैठियों को दिया जाएगा? आपको मंजूर है ये?
The report shows that following this speech, hate speech incidents skyrocketed. Over 300 such incidents took place in the next 43 days alone, and that's an average of 7 per day. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Adityanath, who is known for his hardline Hindutva stance, delivered 89 hate speeches in 2024. He left behind Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah even. He frequently invoked conspiracies like love jihad and vote jihad, painting Muslims as threats to Hindu wealth, culture and security, essentially creating a sense of fear and division.
ये लव जिहाद और लैंड जिहाद के माध्यम से बांग्लादेशी घुसपैठियों को और रोहिंग्या मुसलमानों को यहाँ घुसा करके यहाँ के अस्तित्व के साथ खिलवाड़ करना चाहता है।
A close second is Prime Minister Modi with 67 such speeches and Amit Shah followed with 58. During one of his election speeches, Amit Shah actually claimed that when Samajwadi Party was in charge of Uttar Pradesh, the power supply was uninterrupted during Ramzan but not on Janmashtami. Meanwhile, Modi, after his infiltrator comment received backlash, later went on to clarify that his comments were not aimed at Muslims but towards all poor families. He also claimed that he would be unworthy of public life the day he brought up the Hindu-Muslim rhetoric. And get this, even just a few days after Modi claimed in 2024 that he would never use the term Hindu-Muslim, he turned around and in another speech accused the opposition, the India bloc led by Congress, of trying to take away reservation benefits from OBC communities to give them to Muslim. Of course, this was not true.
और मैं इंडी गठबंधन वालों को कहता हूं कि जब तक मोदी जिंदा है, आप आदिवासियों का, दलितों का, पिछड़ों का, अति पिछड़ों का आरक्षण छीन करके मुसलमानों को वोट जिहाद करने वालों को नहीं दे सकते हैं। ये मैं आपको साफ कहता हूं।
A few months later, in August, Human Rights Watch dropped a report stating that Modi made Islamophobic remarks in 110 speeches while he was out campaigning for the elections. So clearly, more elections means more hate speeches. Now let's also talk about the role played by social media here. Today, most of us get our news and updates from platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram and Twitter, or X as it's now called. The IHL report found out that of all the hate speech made, a whopping 995 of them were videos that were either uploaded or live streamed on these platforms. Despite these platforms having community guidelines against hate speech, they didn't do nearly enough to stop it. And get this, during the Lok Sabha elections, the BJP used its own social media channels to live stream hate speech. Over 266 anti-minority speeches were broadcast live across YouTube, Facebook and X. So they were essentially broadcasting their hate speech directly to millions of people online. And meanwhile, just ahead of the polls in Jan 2024, a project called Hindutva Watch, which is an independent group that documents hate crimes and speeches against religious minorities, had its social media handle on X withheld, and its website was made inaccessible across India. All this points to how, when it comes to hate speech, social media platforms have really dropped the ball. They've consistently failed to act on content that clearly violates their own guidelines, and it's not hard to see why. Cracking down on that content would really upset those running the Indian government and in turn affect their businesses. Basically, letting Islamophobic and anti-Christian Hindutva content spread on these platforms seems like their way of staying on the good side of the Modi government. And this was really put into perspective by a 2020 Wall Street Journal report. Now, this report revealed how Ankhi Das, who was Facebook's top public policy executive in India, told her team that punishing BJP politicians for violations could harm Facebook's business in India. Now let's look at exactly what these hate speeches are about. A lot of them involves conspiracy theories, dangerous ones. Nearly half of the documented incidents include ideas like love jihad and land jihad.
Love jihad.
Love jihad.
Love jihad.
Basically, claims that Muslims are trying to take over Hindu land or manipulate Hindu women into marrying Muslims. A large portion also directly called for violence. Now, a few months ago, in an episode of Let Me Explain, I focused on these claims by the right wing and let the data speak clearly on why all of this was lies and just conspiracy theories. You can watch the full video and I've put the link in the description. But wait, there's more. There were 259 speeches advocating for armed mobilization and 274 speeches specifically targeting religious sites, mainly mosques. And that's not the worst part. Muslims were the primary targets in 98.5% of these hate speech incidents. Of course, Christians weren't left out either. The report cites 115 incidents targeting Christians. The BJP, which holds power in many states, accounted for nearly 80% of all the hate speech events. In fact, they directly organized 340 hate speech events. That's 580% increase from 2023. In addition to this, the BJP's allied organizations like the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and Bajrang Dal were responsible for 279 such events. But of course, hate speech is not just limited to BJP-run states. Even states governed by opposition parties like Congress or the Aam Aadmi Party weren't immune. For example, Himachal Pradesh saw a 269% spike in hate speech incidents, mostly driven by far right-wing groups. The most concerning part has been the silence of the authorities. The Election Commission of India, though it has the power to act against communal campaigning, did little beyond issuing notices. And curiously, not even directly to the candidate who made the offensive comments. In BJP's case, especially after Modi's comments, the Election Commission sent notice to the party president JP Nadda. And in the case of Rahul Gandhi, the letter went to Congress President Mallikarjuna Kharge. The EC did not even name either of the supposed offenders in their letters. The Model Code of Conduct, which prohibits communal appeals during the elections, was flouted again and again and again, and there were hardly any consequences. And as the IHL report puts it, hate speech isn't some kind of spontaneous outrage anymore. It's strategic, it's deliberate, and at times it's even politically sanctioned. Now, as I promised, before we wrap up, let's read a couple of emails. Now, Trupti writes that she's been a long-time subscriber of the News Laundry and subsequently News Laundry and the News Minute. Here's what she's written. I'm deeply impressed and grateful to you and the team for your in-depth journalism, innate sense of the political environment, and the simplicity of putting it forward to your audiences. I wish you and the team a more successful 2025 and an improved mainstream media. And to be honest, I can only see one of the two materializing. Well, we do hope the same, but we don't see much hope given what we've seen in the month of Jan and the first few weeks of Feb. Now, Sudiksha from Chennai writes that she became a joint subscription member just last year. She writes, your Let Me Explain series has been very informative and helpful to me. For someone who's very busy, frequently unwell, and has limited time to keep themselves informed about crucial issues of this country, your series has been a lifesaver. Love how you articulate your explanations. I sometimes send your videos to my father with some hope that he'll at least consume some accurate information. I do this too sometimes, not just to my father, but some other members of my family too, with the same hope. But I do hope that your health gets better. Thank you so much for writing to us. Do not forget to write about this episode, your feedback, your criticism, your comments, and also suggestions for the next episode. Of course, as you know, my email address is pooja@thenewsminute.com. Thank you for watching.